We say this is the newest channel concerning womanhood, and I feel we are still new, but getting used to talking about womanhood from God's perspective. In the previous podcast, I made an introduction of this channel, and in the introduction, I talked about the purposes, and one of the purposes was to define womanhood, and that is what this broadcast is about. Womanhood is the state of being a woman, and the state of being a woman is in 3 levels. You're a woman physically, you're a woman solically, and you're a woman spiritually. And I have taken my time to bring you to this knowledge so that you are able to be very sure that you are a woman, to be very sure that your identity is as it is the way God gave you. You must be very sure that what you received from God is what it is. You are not deceived into being a woman. You are not manipulated into being a woman. You are not tricked into being a woman. It was God's perfect will for you to be a woman. So karibu sana, come closer, take a seat, make yourself comfortable and indulge with me in this subject. We will do it as a series, and today we will begin with the physical woman, the biological woman. How do you know that you're a woman? By looking at your physical body. How do you identify yourself as a woman? By looking at your physical body. I will read the verses that we read in the previous podcast. That was Genesis chapter 1 verse 27. Just to remind us, it says, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them." So that is where we got the definition of a woman, coming from a place of her femaleness or her femininity, that a woman is a female, all right? And now, what are the evidences of being female from your physical body? That's what we are going to look at today. The other verse that we read was Genesis chapter 2. I'll just speak verse 23 that says, "And Adam said, This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man." So when Adam was describing Eve, he described the physicality of Eve. Bones are tangible, they're in the physical realm, and the flesh is also tangible, it's in the physical realm. All right, so it is very important for us, therefore, to just look at this thing and understand who we are as women. I know biology has taught us what we are as women, and this is more or less a biological class or a biology class. We are women, we have our bodies, but sometimes we forget the parts of our bodies. Sometimes we forget. I remember I was watching someone who was saying that when they were giving birth, they didn't know where the child was going to come out from. They have been pregnant for 9 months. So she went to the hospital and she's seeing other women are screaming and screaming. And she's like, wow, why are these women screaming? Let me also join them in screaming. It seems that pregnant women usually scream. So the nurses were like, this young girl, she was 18 years old. This young girl, there's a problem with her. So they called her aside and they were asking her, why are you screaming? And they were like, I'm just trying to walk in solidarity with these other women who are screaming. She had no idea what labor pains are because hers were not yet there. Then she had no idea where the child was going to come out from. She kept on wondering to herself, surely, with all this bump, where is the child going to come out from? It's a true story. So I wondered, all the 18 years she was in school, she went through 844 system. We have science, we have biology, but she does not understand her body, okay? There are Christians who have been so holy, which is awesome. And when it's time to get married, they don't even know how to have sex. They don't even know where their body parts for sex are. Funny, but very, very sad to know that we are women. There's another one who said she went to be waxed, and in the nether areas, waxing is removing the hair through waxing. So she was saying that the person that waxes her has seen more parts of her body more than herself, which is very true, that there are people who have handled our bodies and we have given them the power to see things that we ourselves have no idea about. And mine is just to do a short revision for us to be able to know who we are biologically. I chose four systems for us to look at in this topic. There are many other systems that can identify you as a woman, but I chose 4 parts that I thought are crucial, and they are the most integral for a woman to be able to know herself. The first one is the DNA system of a woman. The second one is the reproductive system of a woman. The third one is the brain system or the cognitive system of a woman. And the fourth one is the hormonal system of a woman. Those are the shouting differences a woman has compared to what a man has. So starting with the DNA system, there's something called chromosomes. Chromosomes are what doctors use to be able to understand your DNA. And the chromosomes of a woman are XX. The chromosomes of a man are XY. So a woman has XX chromosomes. And these chromosomes have messages. And the messages they pass on is that this person is a woman. That's the message, that if a doctor comes into and checks that your DNA has XX chromosomes, you are definitely a woman. And these chromosomes are in every cell of your body. Every cell of your body. If that cell is in the brain, that cell will read XX chromosome. If that chromosome is on your hand, that chromosome will read XX. It is in every part of your body. There's no way you'll have XX on your brain cell and have XY in another part of your body. It is uniform throughout. Number 2 is the reproductive system. The reproductive system, and the reproductive system talks about the reproductive role that a woman has. That the reproductive role that a woman has is to receive a sperm, fertilize it, and carry it into its full term and bear a child. That is the work of a woman. Only women can be pregnant. If you're a man, you cannot be pregnant, but a woman is supposed to be pregnant. Of course, there are issues that may arise and say, how about women who have not been able to conceive because of infertility issues? Those are exceptions, but they do not disprove the fact that a woman was created for her to be pregnant. Now, let us look at the reproductive system of a woman. And I've found out that many women do not even know their reproductive system. They have seen it on pictures, they have seen it on textbooks, they have seen it on the internet, but they have not even seen it on their own bodies, all right? They have not interacted or even taken a step and said, oh, that is what I saw. Is it here? Can I confirm that what I read in the textbook is a part of my body? So you find they have not found women or mothers that are able to tell them, oh, this is what is going on in your reproductive system. Many women who started their menstrual periods, who started having cramps, never told their mothers. Or even if they told their mothers felt very awkward to open up that discussion, and it was as brief as possible, and women grew up never knowing what is going on in their reproductive system. So let us just mention a few parts. Let us just mention a few parts, and don't think that it is bad for us to mention the parts of the reproductive system of a woman. It does not mean that you're perverse in any way. In fact, you should teach your young girls what a vagina is, what a uterus is, what a vulva is. Those parts are important for them to know because they have them. They are not perverted because they have those parts. So it is very important for you to name them and teach them what their role is. It's just that when I start naming the parts of my hand, I do not mean that I am violent. Just because some people use their hands to fight does not mean that me naming the parts of my hand means that I am violent. So me naming the parts of the reproductive system of a woman does not mean that I am perverted, even if it's a part that is usually used for perversion. So let's be comfortable do not panic, be at peace with this topic. So we have the vulva. The vulva is the outer part of the reproductive system of a woman, and it is usually the part that protects the internal parts of a woman. Then it is the part that is outside, all right? And because it is outside, it is the part that is used for stimulation. It is used for arousal. There are glands, they are called Bartholin's glands. So when these glands are touched or they are activated, they produce fluids that make that part ready to receive a penis. Yeah, so I remember when I was at home the other day, we have a very small niece and my sister was, you know, bathing her, and when she was changing and etc, I asked her, have you taught this girl sex education? She was like, yes, I've taught her sex education. Then I asked, okay, how far? Let me see, let me interview the child. So she was like, no, let me interview her. So when she interviewed her, she was like, hey, people should not touch you. People should not touch you. And you know, we have coined different names for that part. You know, we have choo-choo, we have funny names without coming to the exact name of that part. And it's very important for a child to know the real scientific name vis-a-vis the name that you for euphemism for that part. So that is the vulva. Then we have the female urethra. The female urethra is also annexed or part of the vulva that is used to remove urine, to pass urine from the bladder out. You do not pass your urine through your vagina. You pass your urine through your female urethra. Then we go to the vagina. It is the place whereby it receives the penis during sex. It is also the birth canal where the baby comes out through. It's the opening for a baby. When a baby is being born, they pass through the vagina. At that point, it is called a birth canal. It is also the place where your menstrual blood comes out from. So your menstrual blood, women, comes out from the vagina. So you do not pee through the same place that you menstruate from. Those are different parts, okay? Then we have the cervix. The cervix is just above the vagina. It connects the vagina to the uterus. So it is the opening of the uterus towards the vagina. I hope we are good until that point. Then your uterus is the place whereby your period builds up. When the egg has been released from the ovary and the egg has not fertilized, that is where the walls of the uterus begin to break, and the walls of that uterus is called the endometrium. So the endometrium begins to shed off with the egg so that the egg can come out through the cervix and through the vagina out of your body. But if the egg has been fertilized, the uterus is also the womb. It's also the place where it carries the fertilized egg into a fetus and into a baby. A nice fact to know is that your uterus is as the size of your fist. Your uterus is as the size of your fist. If it begins to be bigger than your fist, then you're most likely pregnant. The ovary, you have two ovaries, and that is the place whereby eggs are produced, and that is the place where eggs are also fertilized. So every ovary has its month where it gives off its eggs. Then we have the fallopian tube. The fallopian tube is the connection. It carries the eggs from the ovary down to the uterus. All right, so that is who you are. So if you have those parts, if you look at yourself keenly, or if you can't see the inner parts and you go for a test and they scan and the doctor is able to confirm that you have an ovary, you have a uterus, you have a vagina, then you are a woman. No matter how you feel, even if you feel masculine, even if you feel like you want to identify yourself as a man, as long as you have these parts, lo and behold, you are a woman. You are a female, you are a woman. You cannot run away from it. Then, number 2, I looked at the brain system of a woman. And this I studied a study by Amen Clinics, and they had done research on 46,034 female brains and 46,034 male brains, okay? And they were able to get a few differences. And this you can continue studying and researching just to be able to find out, is the brain system of a woman different from the brain system of a man? So this is what I found out, that the woman's brain is usually busier than the man's brain. You'll find even when women are solving problems, they tend to pick solutions from all over the place. But when men are looking for solution, they're usually quite linear. They're looking at one option very systematically, and for them to move to another option, it will take a lot. But a woman will bring 10 solutions at the same time. So there's a place called a PFC, which is a prefrontal cortex. That's the scientific word of it. It is the part of the brain that is usually involved in judgment, in empathy, in impulse control. So this research showed that when they looked at it in men, it was a bit less busier than in women. So that means that women are more busy judging, more busy empathizing, more busy controlling their impulses as compared to men. So that says a lot about how men can take so many risks, because their empathy levels are low, their impulse control levels are lower than women. Women would not take risks as much as men. Thirdly, you'll find that a female brain, there's a place called the limbic system, which is, in layman terms, is the emotional system. So in a female brain, the emotional system or the limbic system showed more activity than in the male brain. It is just located beneath the prefrontal cortex. So this area is involved in nesting, it is involved in bonding, it is involved in taking care of your immediate surroundings. Nesting is to be able to arrange your immediate surroundings, put it together, make it more comfortable, make it more secure. In that part of the brain that helps somebody to do that, for women it was busier than for men. In women, the part of the brain that helps people to bond, that part of the brain is busier than the part of men, which explains the nurturing qualities of a woman. They are able to take care of people, they are able to sympathize, they are able to empathize with people as compared to men. It's not that men cannot take care of elderly people or little children, but they would need to work harder. For a woman, it may come more easier and naturally, but for a man, it may take more effort. And this is where roles come in. You know, it is not bad for you to be left at home with the children and take care of the children instead of the man, because yours is natural. For a man, you will find your child is just upside down by the time you come back. But it is not for all men. There are men who have, you know, exerted the effort that they need to. But to explain why these roles are there is to maximize the strength that we have naturally. So that is why the familial setup is to maximize the strength. Children are better taken care of by women than by men. Lastly, there is a place in the brain called the insula, where in that space it is larger for females than for males. And in that place, that is the place where women are able to get into conclusions by just their feelings, their gut feelings. Without full information, they are able to come up with a conclusion compared to men. That is where there's the intuition for women. That's how you come up with the term of women are more prophetic, or women are more perceptive than men, because there's a part of the brain that is responsible for it. For women, it is busier. They are able to judge somebody even without a full information about it. And most of the time, they are right. They are right. So that's just a few. There are very many. You can go and do your own research. So that brings up the difference in personality, the difference in impulsive responses, the difference in emotions and caregiving through studying the brain system of a female and a male. So know that your brain can tell about your womanhood. So if in your womanhood, your brain, if you go to a place where they can, you know, track the activities of your brain, and they found that how you are made up, your brain is female, then you are a woman. You can't run away from it. I know we are not running away from it, but I'm also trying to discourage the fact that women feel like the way they are women is not enough. God had his own wisdom when he was creating us the way he did. So just relax, we are fine. We look at the hormonal system, the hormonal system of a woman, and this is where you hear the term female hormones and male hormones. Female hormones are estrogen. We learned this in biology. Biology was my best subject, by the way. Estrogen, hormones, and progesterone. Then male hormones are testosterone, right? So women have more female hormones, but they also have a male hormone called testosterone. It's just that it is not the dominant hormone. So you'll find that a woman who has estrogen and progesterone, which is all women, they do have this hormone. They are able to develop according to how these hormones place a demand for their bodies. So when they get to puberty, you'll find that a woman has breasts. Their breasts, of course, men also have breasts, but women's breasts begin to have more fat and they become bigger. When they get to puberty, they start becoming softer and rounder around their hips, around their bums, around their breasts. Their body begins to take a certain softer shape because fat is now being distributed to those parts. And mostly it's for the reproductive role, because you need a wider surface area for you to be able to carry a child so comfortably. That's where you begin to have a menstrual cycle because of these hormones. That's where your ovaries begin to mature, your uterus begins to mature, your vagina begins to mature because of these hormones. If you had had a dominant testosterone hormone, you'll find that there are differences in how your body is developing. So people that have more estrogen will have larger breasts compared to people who have less estrogen. So the level of these hormones differ from one woman to another. But the fact that they differ do not make other women less than other women. As long as there's an estrogen in your life and there's a progesterone in your life that seems to be more dominant than the testosterone, you're most likely a woman. As long as you have a bulging chest, a breast that is out there, you are a woman. You are a woman. So I have been able to talk to some people who were tomboys. I've been able to talk to some people who were lesbians. And lesbians meaning they were the man in the relationship, yet they are women. And I found out the following, that they gave up on womanhood because of different things. There are people who felt that they have small breasts, they don't have hips, yet they are women. They don't have hips, they don't have big bums, they are not as round as they're supposed to be. And then they said, if I'm all this, there's no one who is, soliciting me for a relationship. There's no man that is pursuing me, even if I will not say yes. But no one is pursuing me since high school. In my clique of friends, when we go for a funky, everybody is being, catcalled. Myself, I'm never catcalled. Maybe they even throw funny comments at me. My sister one day told me about her friend who was being catcalled by the boys in the funky, and she refused, or she just gave them that bombastic side eye. And the young man started saying how she's not even beautiful, how she's not attractive, she does not have hips, she does not have this. And such comments can make you give up on womanhood and just want to tone it down completely, want to dress up like a boy, so that the only way you can relate with them is being like them. So do not give up on your womanhood if you feel your breast size are not it's not the ideal breast size. Even when you feel like you're not as organized as you should be, you know, maybe your sisters, everybody knows how to arrange their wardrobe, everybody knows how to arrange their things, and you've heard me say that the brain of a woman functions well to organize her place, you know, then you say, then I'm not a woman, I'm not organized, I've tried my best, I'm not organized, people are telling me I'm careless, I'm throwing things everywhere. Of course, you can learn, you can get better, but do not give up on your womanhood if you are not as organized as you should be. Then there's this thing that is called waist to hip ratio. I don't know if you've heard about it, but this is when your waist should be really narrow. The width of your waist should be smaller than the width of your hips. So if the ratio is smaller, then you are the ideal woman. If the ratio of your waist and your hips is bigger, it means that you are not an ideal woman. You are not that pear-bodied, glass-shaped woman. You start saying, because I don't have hips, I give up on womanhood. Please, you are still a woman. When you look at your complexion, I remember when I was in first year, all my friends were light as the sun. And me, I was as dark as the tents of Kedar in comparison. So we had gone to take food, and they took a selfie, and they were like, let's post this on Instagram and say something crazy like light-skinned chicks. Hey, I said discrimination. So I'm in that same pic, and they're busy hashtagging lights. Is it that they're trying to tell me to get out of their pictures without, you know, directly pointing it out that I'm not as beautiful as them? So I would have easily given up on my femininity and said, these ones are more women than I am a woman. I struggled with complexion issues. I struggled with weight issues when I was in first year of campus, and I felt, people who are smaller look more feminine, and therefore I give up on my femininity. Some women, when they are tall, they feel like, I wish I was shorter to be a woman. You know, I remember in high school, we used to skip rope. So there's this tall girl who was skipping rope. Then the rope hit her on her head. Then I was like, you're too tall for, I told her, and I repented for it. I told her, you're too tall for this game. I didn't know it would offend her, but later on she said, I'm struggling with my height. I'm feeling like my height is making me not be compatible with with any partner that may come, because I may appear to be taller than most boys, and they are not in for taller women, and therefore I don't feel like a woman. Please remember, you're a woman. Whether you're tall, whether you're short, you did not choose your height. God is the one who chose that height for you. And you cannot disqualify your womanhood on the basis of your height.